Hey, everybody. Welcome to the second live stream in the August of Automation series. I see you've got one person with us. I'm going to assume that's my friend Brian. Hey, Brian. Brian and I have actually been having some conversations by email about whether or not these live streams are effective. And we'll see how this one goes today, but I may go back to more recorded content for the rest of this series. I do like to learn in public and try out some different things here on YouTube and in other places. And this has certainly been an interesting experiment. So it's been fun to try. I mentioned, if you're following along in the article series, that today we would play around with shortcuts a little more, and I'll talk through a couple of those. I thought that I would actually try out the idea of adding to the Obsidian Daily Log with spoken text, just to see if that works. But before we do that, I think we'll do something just a little bit simpler and actually look at creating a quick little Pomodoro timer in shortcuts, which is just simple and kind of fun and a good way to start. So let me go ahead and share my shortcuts window here. Let me close a couple of things down before I do that, just to make sure that I don't have too many things open. YouTube seems to get a little weird about that. Go. And then we'll go into there. Okay, let's see if it'll let me share it now. Nope, still no. Let's see now. There we go. All right. So here is the shortcuts window, and we're in my Obsidian shortcuts. We'll just go over here to some starter shortcuts to start with. If you've not been in shortcuts before, I'll just show you a couple of things that I think are really helpful to help people get started in them. First of all, when you first open up shortcuts, you will not have all of these things down here on the left. You'll just have the shortcuts here that are in your all shortcuts, your share sheet, your quick action, and your menu bars. And then you also have your gallery. The gallery is a great place to start. And in fact, they actually have a Pomodoro in here. So let's go ahead and double click that one. And you can see where you can use it at. It appears in the menu bar. It runs on the Apple Watch, and it starts a custom timer. We can go ahead and add this one to our list of shortcuts. It says, which focus would you like to turn on with this shortcut? I'll go ahead and let it be work. I think that works fine, and hit add shortcut. And then it would have been added to my all shortcuts list. It's right here. The great thing about adding one from the gallery is that you then can edit or modify it if you want to. So let's go ahead and just open this one up and see what it looks like. You'll notice that it asks for some input, and then it also tells you that you can start it with Siri, which we experimented with just a little bit yesterday in the article for this series, and I'll put the links to those in the description below if you haven't watched that before. So this one asks for a number, okay, for how many minutes. It rounds it to the ones place for the break length, rounds number less than 1, starts the Pomodoro, and then has a little if statement in it. I'm going to do mine a little bit differently. I have other thoughts on how I want a Pomodoro to run. So that's why I think it's still good to look at these and sort of see how they're running, see the logic of them. And I'll go back up here to the gallery for a second. There are tons of shortcuts. So if you can see here, let me go ahead and pull this out just a little bit further, expand a little bit. There are ones for getting stuff done. So if I click the see all here, there are a few more here. There are some quick ones, some get organized ones, the essentials, collaborate better. So there are a lot of these. It's a good place, again, to start to see if there's anything here that you want to use, or if it would serve as the basis for a good shortcut that you want to write. So I think there's enough different in the Pomodoro that I want to write that I'm going to actually write my own. So I'm going to delete this one because I'm still going to use the words start Pomodoro as the name of mine. It's okay for me to delete that one simply because I can go get it back from the gallery if I wanted to. If you I think this is one of the things I'm still figuring out as I work with shortcuts. You're going to want to think about what your sort of your retention method is for shortcuts. I was just watching earlier this week in the great David Sparks, aka Max Sparky, field guide on shortcuts, which I highly recommend. I'll put a link in the comments or in the description to it below as well. If you haven't checked it out, it's wonderful. In the plus edition of that, you get a interview that David did with Rosemary Orchard, who is his partner in crime on the Automators podcast. Also excellent. I'll put a link to it down below. And Rosemary was mentioning she has something, I think it was like 4,000 shortcuts. And that's because she never deletes anything. And as I've been playing around with some shortcuts this week and last week, as I've been working through my August of automation month, I realized that, I don't want to delete them. I never know if they're going to come up again. And I have not taken a really good measured approach to how I name shortcuts and how I retain and retire shortcuts. So that's something that I'm still going to be thinking about as the month goes on, something I might write a little bit more about in a strategy here. But I'm pretty sure I do not have another shortcut named Pomodoro. Let's make sure. Yep, I do not have one. So let's go ahead and create a new shortcut. And we're going to call this one Start Pomodoro. All right, and then we're going to ask for some information. So if you're coming here from some of the articles that I've already written this week, I've mentioned that you can find things in shortcuts 3 different ways. You can search for it here. You can also look through the different categories here, or you can look at it by apps here. So I know that I am looking for ask. Here we go. I'm looking for ask for input just because I've done this before and played around with these for a little bit. But again, let's go ahead and look at this. If you weren't sure of that, you're trying to build a command that's going to ask somebody for something. Well, that is a scripting item, and you can see all of the different options that you have here in the scripted commands and ask. Hopefully I didn't just scroll through it while I was talking. No, there it is. There's ask for input. That's an option there. Okay, so we're going to ask for a number with the prompt, how many minutes would you like to work? And then we're going to go ahead and do the show more here. And we're not going to allow decimal numbers on this. So I'm just going to decide, nope, I only want whole numbers here. See if there are any options here. Nope, no options there that I really want to do. I don't want to allow negative numbers. Okay, so that looks good. Oh, shoot. And sometimes as you're doing it, you accidentally delete what you were doing, doing. Let's try that again. Ask for input. Oh, goodness. Ask for a number with the text, how many minutes would you like to work? And then we will not allow decimals and not allow negatives. And I will hit show less and not the X this time. Sorry about that. All right. And then we got to do a little bit of math, because if I remember correctly, the numbers are going to come in as a minute, but the timers are going to count in seconds. So we're going to do a little bit of math. We're going to calculate. Yeah. We're going to do provided input, and we're going to take it times 60. So that'll take the number of minutes and put it to 60. And then this may be the challenge, because I'm not sure how I want to do this. I think I want to time. Let's see if timer is an option. I want to wait. But that'll work. I could start timer here, but let's try the wait here. So let's do wait. So here, what I'd like for it to do is I'd like for it to wait this value of time. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click. And what I did to get this menu to open up is on my keyboard, I hold down the control key and then click with my mouse. And I am going to do select variable, and that opens up this, sort of pops my whole shortcut open and lets me choose which variable I want to use, which is this one right here. And this is, and then I'm going to rename this. So when I click on this right here, and I just left clicked, I didn't control click or anything like that, just left click it. This is going to be timer. Okay, you can name it whatever you want. It'll keep that name throughout the shortcut to make it a little bit easier to work with. Let's see. And then at the end of my timer, it is going to display a message. So we're going to do display. Is that the right one? Oh, let's do show alert. There we go. Show alert, and great job. Oops. Your time is up, or your time is done. There we go. You can show more here, and I could give it a title if I wanted. I'm not going to show the cancel button. Yeah, I don't need a cancel button. All right. So let's go ahead and try this and see what happens. I just want to work for 1 minute, so I'm going to hit done. So I'll chatter for a second just to make sure that our little window pops up. Then I'll show a way that we can modify this to make it even more useful and even more customized. So again, I'm just playing around with some things. I kind of know how these work. I've played with the asking for a number and multiplying it times 60 before. I can't remember what shortcut I did that in, but I know I've done it before in the wait timer. But a lot of learning shortcuts really is just about playing with them and figuring out how they work. One of the reasons why I really do love David Sparks' field guides is that he actually sort of sits and goes through a lot of the different settings and variables for a lot of the different shortcut actions. And so if you are one of those people who are like, oh, I don't want to play with it unless like somebody's guiding me through it, he does a really good job of that. It also gives you some good shortcuts to play around with. There we go. Our timer is up. And I can hit OK, and then I could go do something else. So something that I actually like to do is to play some music when I'm working. So let's add that in. Let's show you music. Is that an option? There we go. There's play music. So I am going to play some music here, and I'm going to put this before my wait because I want it to actually start before my wait. And I'm going to play music. And what happens there, let me see if you can see this. I can't tell if you can see this or not. You may not have been seeing that whole shortcut that I was doing. Well, that's very obnoxious. Okay, let's stop sharing here for a second. And let's try that again. There we go. Okay, that's better. That's working the way I want it to now. Well, that's very annoying. So let me talk through these really quickly. Sorry about that, friends. So what this is doing is it's asking for a number. And I set that in the settings. So I just clicked on it and set that. And then it's adding the prompt. I'm typing in the prompt of how many minutes would you like to work. It's multiplying that number of minutes times, or that number times 60, because the timer is actually going to count in seconds, not in minutes. And so I need that to do that. And then I have just gotten here to the play music option, which I added from the actions list. And let me go ahead and grab that back here so I can see it. I'll give a little better idea, a little better look here at what it is sharing so that I can see that. So when the music popped up, or when the music option came up, it actually brings up this. Go and share this again. Yeah, there we go. This pop-up that actually lets me choose sort of which playlist, artist, song, genre, compilation, composers, all of those things. So I'm just going to make a selection from that list. and you will see it pop up in my shortcut here in just a second. So let me do that really quickly. Let's try one of my playlists. There we go. So it'll play from the acoustic covers pop songs, and you can do some choose more. I like this to always go to shuffle. And I don't usually need to do repeat. This is a long enough playlist that that's not really an issue. It'll wait the timer and it will show the alert. Now, I will go ahead and test it again, just so you can see that it will still do this. I still want to just work for 1 minute this time. It's going to start playing some music on my computer. You may or may not hear it. I haven't shared audio through the live stream. It'll wait that timer again for those 60 seconds and it'll pop up my message. The great job, your time is done. I can tell that it's working the way I want it to as I'm watching it run here, because you probably didn't see as we were going through this that first they asked for number turned green, then the provided input turned green, then this turned green, and then the wait timer is green right now. It'll stay green until those 60 seconds are up. When you're testing, you may not even want to wait that whole 60 seconds. You can always come up here and stop the run, and that will stop it if you need to. I'm also going to stop my song from playing there so I'm not listening to it. So there is a very simple little Pomodoro timer that you could use anywhere you wanted to, and it will give you that opportunity. I'm going to try it really quickly here. Let's go ahead and stop sharing. I'm going to try it on my phone and just see if it will work here on my phone. Hey Siri, start Pomodoro.
Okay, for how many minutes?
1.
Started a timer for 1 minute. Your focus will stay on until the timer goes off.
So if you heard her say that, she is doing her job there. And I have my volume turned way down, but I just turned the volume up and I'm also hearing that song through my timer as well. So that works on the phone as well as on the computer, which is a nice option. Okay, let's try one more here, and I will try to remember to share the proper screen with you this time as we go through this. We're going to go to all shortcuts here for just a second, and we're going to create another new one. And we're going to do this one as add a voice log. And let me stop sharing and start sharing the right screen here. Go. Okay, so this is add a voice log. And so what this is going to do is it's going to take in voice dictation from our phone or wherever, and it's going to add that to our Obsidian Vault. So I mentioned in one of the articles this week that if I come over here and I search for Obsidian, Obsidian itself does not have actions that go with it. And part of that is because Obsidian is not a native Mac app. It's built on, I think it's called Electron. And so it does not have sort of native actions. It uses a helper app to do that. Where on the other side of that, if I search for something like, Mail does have native actions built into shortcuts that you can use right from the app. Or one of my favorites, OmniFocus is another one. There are native actions built right into shortcuts that I can use. But to do Obsidian automation, I have to use this Actions for Obsidian. It's made by Carlo Zotman. It's about $15, I think, for the license, so it is not free. But Carlo has done a really good job of keeping this up to date, adding new things to it. And I will probably later this week write a couple of articles on some of the things I've automated in my Obsidian Vault. This one is new. I have not actually done what I'm about to try before. I think I'd like to be able to do this. I can do this with my, as I mentioned in Thursday's article, if you read that in the series, and I'll put a link in the comments below, updating my captain's log, which is my day one journal. But I may want to make a a note into my Obsidian Daily Log right from the app. So let's try that. So the way I did that with the captain's log, I started with dictate. So let's try that. So let's dictate some text, and we're going to show more here. It'll be language, and I want it to stop listening after the pause. That's perfect. And we're going to take that text and we're going to do a couple of things. And this is where an if statement becomes really, really helpful for you. If you're used to programming anything, then actually let's just build the basic first, then we'll go to the if statement. That'll be easier. All right, so then let's go to Obsidian. And let's go to, we're going to append text. Let's see, we're going to insert text, add a placeholder and a periodic note. Okay. Okay. And so I'm going to insert the text. Let me do that. Yeah. Dictated text. So again, I just did that control click there at the placeholder. And I do have a placeholder in my daily note in Obsidian that I need to open over here. There we go. And that placeholder text is this. I need to make that into a keyboard shortcut. I am using that a lot. In the current daily note, so that's where I want it, in the vault, and mine is called Extended Mind. So this part, this Extended Mind 4.0, comes from when you set up the actions for Obsidian shortcut. That will automatically show you that. So let's go ahead and try this. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. And let me bring over my daily note. Yep. And let's try this. Hey Siri, add a voice log.
What's the text?
Testing the live stream audio ad. That didn't work. Okay, so that does happen sometimes. I think I know why. And part of this, and I'll talk about where the if then comes in here in a second, is actually because the vault name on my phone and the vault name on my computer are not exactly the same. I've been trying to figure out how to fix it, and I'm not quite there yet. So hopefully I'll be able to fix that in the coming day or two. So I think I may hold this one and report back on it at a later on in the series if I have the opportunity to figure out what is going on with it. Let me go ahead and show you what that would look like on my desktop though. Here, let me go ahead and stop sharing this and reshare my Obsidian Vault. There we go. Oops, sorry. Flustered. Okay, so let's try it on here. I'm going to run it from my desktop. Add this note to my daily log. There we go. That worked well. You can see that that actually added right to my daily log. I do need to play around with this just a little bit more because I want the time and the bullet added to it. So let's go ahead and play with that. All right, so we've got the text here. What we want is that bullet and the time. The bullet is easy enough to add. You can do that just by clicking in here. Get right at the end there. There we go. Click over and add in the bullet. That's simple enough to do. And we want to add the time. So we're going to look for date and we're going to put in a date here. And then just like we did when we were trying to find that variable, we're going to do that control click on the current date. I said that wrong. We're going to just, sorry, I don't know what I'm doing there. We're going to control click down here again to add that current date. And then I want to set, there we go. I want to set the properties for this date, which will show up right after I add that in. And I'm going to come down here, and you can, when you're playing with these, you can see the example of them right down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go to none, and that will add just the time, which is what I'm looking for. So I just want that time in there, and I'm going to add one more little dash in here if I can. There you go. Okay, there we go. So let's run that one more time. Let me go and stop sharing. And I will come back to my Obsidian Vault, and I will run the shortcut then. This is the second test of the voice log. And you see that that has added now, and it has got that bullet on it. It'll put the bullet on there. I didn't add a space in. Hang on, I'm going to fix that over here. And now we'll run it again so you can still see it. This is the third test of the voice log. There we go. Now it added it as bulleted text. All right. So see, it does take quite a bit of playing around and working with those to make sure that that is working properly. All right, so that I think is where we're going to stop for today. Sorry again about the little technical difficulty with sharing the wrong screen with you. That definitely flustered me a little bit. And probably is good proof that live streams are not the best way to go. So I'll be back next week in Medium with more from the series, and hopefully I'll figure out what's going on with why that won't work on my iPhone, and we will go from there. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.